The American farmer is the greatest anti-poverty program the world has ever seen. Who has done more to feed the world and increase the standard of living more than any government aid program? It's our farmers. And America is blessed. We are so blessed with rich natural resources that really set a foundation for our prosperity. They allow us to lead the world in innovation, and in the case of farming, food production. Along with ingenuity and hard work, the investment in new technologies and research gives us as Americans the competitive edge time and time again. Many of you know that I grew up on the farm and we owned an orchard. I learned many lifelong lessons at that early age. The importance of hard work, neighbor helping neighbor, perseverance, the importance of preparation and being trustworthy, so that at the end of the day you can go to bed knowing that you put in an honest day's work. In Kettle Falls, where we owned an orchard and fruit stand, we grew cherries, peaches, pears, apples. We sold everything direct at the fruit stand. Both sides of my family headed west in the 1850s on the Oregon Trail, and they were in search of a better life. I'm fifth generation now. My dad's family pursued agriculture, and my mom's family was in forestry. My earliest memories involve feeding lambs, plucking chickens, and helping around the farm. In fact, my first job was picking walnuts. My dad gave me 5 cents a bucket. I wanted to buy a stroller for my dolls, and my parents decided to teach me the value of $1 and had me attempt to earn that stroller on my own. In the end, they had to help subsidize it. However, it was the first time I remember imagining what's possible and then working hard to make it happen. As we take a look back over the first year of the Trump administration, I'm really proud that they have kept their promise to cut red tape and burdensome regulations to the American farmer. This year in Congress, we've already passed 15 bills that directly repeal some of the most burdensome rules of the past years. Instead of federal grant money going to billboards and lobbying, the EPA, they're getting back to basics. Just last week, the EPA Administrator, Scott Pruitt, completed a rule to delay the implementation of the waters of the USA and plans to have a new rule by the end of the year. This is great news for our farmers. These burdensome and arbitrary regulations are hurting our farmers, and I'm proud to work with the administration to provide relief. Alongside the Trump administration, we've also passed historic tax legislation that's going to help grow our economy, create jobs, let you keep more of your hard-earned money. I'm excited about what tax reform will mean for our farmers right here in Eastern Washington. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act we passed last December is an unprecedented incentive for farmers large and small to grow and invest. We provide full and immediate expensing for 5 years. For the farmer who's struggled to make that difficult financial decision to invest in the next piece of equipment, this bill will unleash their potential. We also, for the first time, are creating a separate rate for pass-through businesses by providing a 20% deduction on the first $315,000 of income. This will provide farmers with additional tax relief and improve their ability to compete. Finally, we took a significant step in easing the burden of the estate tax by doubling the exemption. This will lessen the burden on individuals deciding at that very difficult time whether they're going to keep or sell the family farm. You know, when I was first elected to Congress, this was the first bill that I co-sponsored, and it was the repeal of the death tax. So it was great to see that provision included. All of these changes will help our farmers and enable them to feed all of us. It's impossible to overstate the impact of our dams here in Eastern Washington. Not only do they provide nearly 70% of our region's electricity, they help with flood control, irrigation, and transportation. It was the dams that transformed this region from a dry, barren land into one of the most productive agriculture regions in the country. Now, unfortunately, some in our state don't see the value of these dams. And we often even face opposition from our own governors, Governors Inslee and Brown. Last year, I introduced legislation to protect the Columbia Snake River dams and to ensure that we can continue to work collaboratively to recover fish and meet our energy potential. Dams and fish can coexist. So my bill that would put the biological opinion, which is a requirement of the Endangered Species Act, into law, it would help support everything that these dams have to offer. The latest ruling by a Portland judge on the BIOP, it sets us back, unfortunately, 20 years. It's amazing that a single person, one judge in liberal Portland, has the ability to overturn decades of bipartisan collaborative work. And now he wants us to start at the beginning and put breaching the dams back on the table. Let's be clear. The biological opinion is a result of years of collaborative work between the past administration, Washington and other Northwest states, sovereign Northwest tribes, local stakeholders, and many others that have the direct knowledge and the expertise in mitigation and recovery. After 20 years of litigation, we must get out of the courtroom and continue investments in habitat restoration and fish recovery. That's what my bipartisan bill ensures. Our river system functions as a superhighway for agriculture goods. It's what allows an efficient, cost-effective flow of commerce. Washington is the most trade-dependent state in the country, responsible for nearly $80 billion worth of exports just in 2016. It would have taken 160,000 semi-trucks to move the goods which traveled by barge during 1 year. That's why I've led bipartisan legislation through the House to fix the way we relicense our dams. Currently, we're spending millions of dollars on long, burdensome processes that hold up the future of hydropower. It takes over 10 years on average to license a new hydropower facility or relicense an existing facility. And you can compare that to 18 months on average for a natural gas facility. We could actually double hydropower production without building a new dam, simply by updating relicensing, which is what my bill would do. This legislation provides timelines and benchmarks so that our agencies must meet these deadlines to allow the new investments and the reliability in our hydropower system. We also need to modernize the Columbia River Treaty. This is a transboundary agreement with Canada that governs the use of our hydropower production on the Columbia and Snake River systems. I serve as the co-chair of the bipartisan Northwest Energy Caucus, and together with Representative DeFazio out of Oregon, we have led the way with the Department of State to move forward with renegotiating this very important treaty. The State Department just recently announced that they will be moving forward with those renegotiations this spring. Jill Small recently started as the new lead negotiator. Now, previously, she was negotiating water between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. So I'm really excited to have her leadership and the commitment that the Trump administration has made to the Columbia River Treaty. We've been trying to get Canada to the table for many years, and I'm pleased that we've finally done so. Certainly here in Eastern Washington, agriculture is a way of life. It's our #1 industry, and it's our farmers who help provide food safety and security to the world. It's our farmers that not only produce the world's safest and most affordable food supply, it's what fuels our economy. It's our economic driver. Our farm exports account for $340 billion in economic activity and support 1 million jobs. Now, at the same time, commodity prices are low. And until last year, farmers were facing a growing number of regulations and a heavier tax burden. Our farmers are hurting. And as we move forward with the Farm Bill over the next year, I have 3 key priorities. One is protecting farmers' access to crop insurance. It's such an important safety net. 2 is increasing market development abroad through trade and market access programs. And 3 is agriculture research. As I talk to farmers in Eastern Washington, they consistently will focus on these three priorities. And as many of you know, the American farmer is operating on slim margins with little room for error. Wheat growers gave up direct payments in the last Farm Bill, and they must have the certainty of crop insurance. I'm excited. The chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, Michael Conway from Texas, he's agreed to come out to WSU this year. We're looking at some dates in August, and I need all of you to join me in welcoming him and really reminding him of the importance of some of these issues to agriculture in our state. I've also invited a Southern farmer who's in high demand, the Agriculture Secretary, Sonny Perdue. I'm hoping that he too will come out and tour some of the farms in our region. As these two ag leaders join us, it gives us an opportunity to tell the story of Eastern Washington agriculture, to advocate for our priorities, to open markets, protect the family farm, and to increase research. 95% of the world's customers live outside of the United States. Today, nearly 90% of the wheat produced in Eastern Washington goes overseas. 50% of our potatoes. But every day, our farmers are competing against other countries, often with limited access into world markets. All over the world, you see countries negotiating trade deals with each other, leaving the United States in the dust. Europe and Japan, Canada and China, and the list goes on and on. At his State of the Union address last week, the president spoke of the need for free and fair trade deals. He's right. Our state is the most trade-dependent state in the country. And I was concerned about pulling out of TPP, and I remain concerned about rumors of leaving NAFTA. This isn't the direction we want to be going, and I'm going to continue to make my concerns known. I want America to be writing the rules. We're also losing markets that took many years to develop, and that may take many years to get back. If we want to put America first, we must be crafting trade agreements that allow American farmers to access markets all across the world. I've been disappointed with the slow pace of negotiations, but will continue to urge the administration to get the deals moving. I don't have to tell anyone here, but we live in the 21st century, and each and every day, technology becomes more ingrained in everything we do. Agriculture is no different. We see precision farming and other technological advances, and we must ensure our farmers have access to high-speed broadband internet. Unfortunately, for many rural communities, access to broadband still isn't a reality. I'm excited Microsoft has a pilot project going on right now in Eastern Washington. It's in Elmira, where they're using TV white spaces to deploy broadband internet in some of the most remote areas at a fraction of the cost of traditional fiber. This project in Elmira is using internet access for precision agriculture, like monitoring soil moisture levels. And I'm encouraged by the rural broadband potential that will be unleashed as a result of the broadcast auction repack. Recently, I led the effort in the House with 60 of my colleagues expressing to the FCC the importance of the repack to building out rural broadband and the importance of keeping that process moving on time. This is our future, but we can't have it, and we can't have the reality of this future unless we have access. And broadband, it's the 21st century infrastructure, and in Congress, we must recognize the need to do more to connect rural America. So I'm hopeful as we continue to look at an infrastructure bill this year that we will prioritize rural broadband deployment. We're also facing another dilemma. It's the changing face of farming and ranching in America. It's estimated that the average age of the American farmer is now 59 years old, approaching retirement without a replacement. It's also estimated that we need 1 million new farmers to feed America over the next 10 years. Not only that, farmers will need to double food production by 2050 to keep pace. We need to encourage the next generation of farmers by increasing their opportunities and opening new markets. With the challenges ahead for Eastern Washington comes many opportunities as well. Our customers trust us and they see value in Washington agriculture. But I need to hear from all of you, and I want to encourage you to tell your own personal story. If you don't tell your story, someone else will.